This is day one for the Thailand photo expedition. Today I'm going to talk about Bangkok, photographing it as a city, and kind of the things that you'll notice among your first couple of days there. So let's get into the pictures.
So I admit that I didn't expect Bangkok to be a city like this. I expected more of a Hanoi kind of third world major city. But Bangkok is in most ways a first world city. I mean, big roads, cars, skyscrapers, electricity, internet, all the attributes we think of in our modern living. There's still some third world things. In this image you'll see that river in the middle. And that's for all intensive purposes an open sewer, which smells terrible all the time. But when it's hot, it smells really terrible, and it's hot all the time. But an interesting thing to see is that even though it's this enormous city, it's still constantly growing. And around certain times of the day, it's just a massive sea of construction workers going to and coming from work. And this really makes for some great images, especially during the sunrise sunset time. Because Bangkok has a lot of pollution, and it gives you this kind of backdrop of this deep orange kind of fading up to blue. And it can make for some really dramatic, really heavy contrast sunsets that are just, in my opinion, absolutely stunning for cityscapes at any rate. And the sun just at the very end of the night, it just barely is able to poke through some of the smog. And it gives for these really rich red sunsets. And then in this image, you can see the crane workers. This is actually after sunset, but you can see that they're just highlighted against that red sky. I just think it's really a nice environment for sunrise and sunset photography, especially sunset. Sunrise is a little. You don't get as much smog in, you don't get as much clouds, so it's a little less intensive, but it's still pretty gorgeous. You get really nice reflections off other buildings, and that's a really great thing about cities is that you're always never stop paying attention to reflections because they're just everywhere. Everything's glass, or there's mirrors, or there's cars. There's always going to be a great reflection somewhere. Nighttime shooting in Bangkok is pretty easy, and I'll get into it more. This is just a quick sample from my hotel room that night. And you can tell the city just lights up at night. I mean, it never, as a country boy who lives out in the middle of nowhere, it felt like it never got dark. So first couple of days I was up really late. During the daytime, Bangkok becomes a very high energy, kind of hectic city. Really heavy traffic, hundreds of street vendors on the sidewalk. And even if you get really familiar with an area like this bridge right here, I must have gone up onto that bridge hundreds of times. And one day I came up and they were just filming a Bollywood movie. And that kind of stuff's pretty common in Bangkok. So it's nice that you can get really familiar with an area, but it'll still change enough that you'll still have something interesting to go find or explore, even if you know the area pretty well. And it's fun to go to the markets. They're a place that changes quite a bit. This is a picture of a flower market. And there's always just little images that might not make your career, but they're still kind of just a fun thing to do. So like this guy in his restaurant, or this shopkeeper looking over their stuff, or just interesting displays, kind of color patterns. And nobody cares that you're there. And that's a great thing about Bangkok, is that it's a very busy town. They're doing business. They don't really care if you're there with your camera. And I never ran into anybody who was annoyed that I was there. There's also some really good street food. This isn't the Travel Channel, so I won't get into that too much. But don't eat in the hotel. Go out onto the street, go into Thai restaurants, and really, if you're going to this city, you need to explore that part of it, because that's a part of being in Bangkok. And that's what I would say, if you're going to try to integrate it all into Bangkok, you really need to get familiar with their street food. So I don't want to leave you thinking this town is amazing and clean and perfect, first world kind of thing. So I wanted to leave you with these three images. We have a lot of homeless in America. The cities I spend the most amount of time in are Portland and San Francisco. And compared to the Bangkok homeless, kind of the San Francisco and Portland homeless have it very, very easy. The Bangkok homeless people seem to live really, really brutal lives. People don't give them money. You know, you're basically completely on your own in an amazing destitution, and people just walk right by you. And I know that happens in America too, but it's much more, I would say, blunt in Bangkok, much less discreet about it. There weren't really as many, they don't talk about shelters. They just go, oh, that's a homeless guy, keep walking kind of thing. This last image is kind of one I would hope you'd take a minute to look at and think about, because does this look like the city you live in at all? And that's a question that when I photographed this, I thought, oh my god, this is so disgusting. There's trash everywhere and garbage, and no one really, all the people just walk by and don't give a shit about it. But then I came back to Portland. That's where I flew back into, and I found something pretty much exactly the same. So I don't know. Just think about that. If you like what's going on so far, if you could subscribe or anything, that'd be great. Post a question if you got any. I'll upload another video, a little nerdier version. I'll go into some of how I took some of the better photographs. So hope you stick around.